Mortal Kombat hid the fate of its first Sub-Zero for more than a decade. Bi-Han died in the original tournament, while Noob Saibot quietly appeared as a secret shadow fighter in the sequel. Then, the games revealed they were the same man, before Liu Kang's new era gave Bi-Han a different life and somehow produced Noob Saibot again. To understand why this keeps happening, we need to go back to the first man who wore the blue mask. The wrong Sub-Zero. The first thing to clear up is which Sub-Zero we are actually talking about, because Mortal Kombat spent years making this confusing on purpose. The blue-masked assassin in the original 1992 game is Bi-Han. The game itself keeps his identity secret. His biography gives no real name and only identifies him as a likely member of the Lin Kuei. He enters Shang Tsung's tournament with an assassination contract, and if you finish the arcade ladder with him, he kills Shang Tsung, takes the money, and plans to retire. That ending never becomes the main history. Scorpion kills him during the tournament instead. Then Mortal Kombat 2 brings Sub-Zero back with a slightly different appearance and a noticeably different attitude. This is Kuai Liang, Bi-Han's younger brother. Kuai takes the codename to honor Bi-Han and investigate his death. He becomes the heroic Sub-Zero most players know. The one who leaves the Lin Kuei, fights their cyber initiative, and eventually becomes Grandmaster. Bi-Han has already moved somewhere else. Noob Saibot first appears in Mortal Kombat 2 as a completely black secret opponent. He looks like a shadow pulled out of the ninja roster, and at this point, that is basically all the player gets. His name is Ed Boon and John Tobias spelled backwards. A developer joke had somehow become one of the strangest characters in the series. Later games connect Noob to the Brotherhood of Shadow and the Netherrealm, although his former identity stays hidden. Mortal Kombat. Deception finally confirms it in 2004. Noob Saibot is the original Sub-Zero. The guy in blue from the first game has been standing in front of us as this black wraith for more than a decade. That answers who he is. It leaves out the part that actually matters here. What sort of man went under that first blue mask? The Lin Kuei took him. Bi-Han was born with Cryomancer blood, giving him the ability to create and control ice. In the reboot continuity, his biography explains that the Lin Kuei took Bi-Han and Kuai Liang from their home as children, then trained them in its methods. The exact childhood details are less developed in the original timeline, but the result is the same. Bi-Han grows up inside a clan where stealing, spying, and killing are work, and he is very good at it. He carries himself like the senior brother too, cold, proud, impatient. Kuai Liang eventually questions the clan and walks away from it. Bi-Han keeps accepting assignments. That difference matters, although it would be too easy to look at the finished Noob Saibot and read every earlier action as proof that he was doomed. Living Bi-Han still shows restraint when it costs him something. He spares Serena in the Netherrealm. He accepts responsibility for recovering Shinnok's amulet after helping Quan Chi steal it. Even his original arcade ending imagines him completing one final contract and retiring. It is only an ending, sure, but it came from the earliest version of the character, before the games had decided he would become a shadow demon. So, Bi-Han begins as a professional killer with a badly damaged moral compass. He also has moments where another future seems possible. Quan Chi sees all of that before anyone else does, and instead of waiting for Bi-Han to choose a direction, he arranges a meeting between two assassins who have no idea they are working the same job. Quan Chi chose both. Before the first Mortal Kombat tournament, Quan Chi approaches the Lin Kuei with a job. He wants Bi-Han to retrieve the Map of Elements, an object that reveals the route to a hidden temple and the amulet of the fallen elder god Shinnok. The Lin Kuei accept. Bi-Han heads out believing this is another theft. Quan Chi also hires Hanzo Hasashi of the Shirai Ryu. Neither warrior knows the other has been sent for the same map. That is the trap. At the Shaolin Temple, they meet, fight, and Bi-Han kills Hanzo. The game even gives the player a choice over the final blow, but Hanzo's death is the history the series follows. Scorpion is born from it. Bi-Han owns that killing. Quan Chi then adds several crimes Bi-Han never committed. As payment for the Lin Kuei's help, Quan Chi exterminates the rival Shirai Ryu. Hanzo's family dies with the clan. Quan Chi knows exactly what he has created. A dead warrior full of rage, an assassin whose hands are dirty enough to make the lie believable, and a feud he can keep using whenever either man becomes inconvenient. This distinction gets blurred all the time. Bi-Han kills Hanzo. Quan Chi destroys Hanzo's family and clan. Years later, Quan Chi shows Scorpion a vision that places the entire massacre on Bi-Han, and because Bi-Han really did kill him, the larger accusation sticks. There is a nasty bit of planning behind it. Quan Chi has already decided what each man will be useful for. Hanzo becomes a weapon powered by revenge. Bihan remains alive long enough to finish the amulet job, and Bihan does finish it. He travels through the Temple of Elements, defeats its guardians, and opens the route to Shinnok's amulet. One of those guardians is Fujin, long before he becomes the calmer, more familiar wind god from Mortal Kombat 4 and Mortal Kombat 11. Then, Quan Chi takes the amulet and disappears. Bihan has just helped release the one object Shinnok needs to escape the Netherrealm. Raiden finds him soon after, and he is furious. Bihan opened hell. Raiden tells Bihan what he has actually done. The amulet once allowed Shinnok to challenge the other Elder Gods. After Shinnok's defeat, Raiden helped banish him to the Netherrealm and hid the amulet where it could not be reached easily. Bihan has now cut through every safeguard for Quan Chi. Raiden gives him one chance to repair it. Enter the Netherrealm, recover the amulet, and stop Shinnok. It is a ridiculous assignment. And yes, this all happens in Mortal Kombat mythologies. Sub-Zero. The game where turning around can feel harder than fighting an Elder God. Still, the story matters more to Bihan than almost anything in the original tournament. Inside the Netherrealm, Scorpion is already waiting for him. Hanzo has returned as a specter and wants revenge for his death. Bihan defeats him again, then pushes deeper into Quan Chi's stronghold, fighting the assassins Kia and Jitaka before meeting Sarina. Sarina is one of Quan Chi's servants. She is also the first person in this story Bihan is clearly given the opportunity to spare. And he does. That decision matters because Sarina later turns against Quan Chi and helps Bihan reach Shinnok. Bihan steals back the amulet and escapes, preventing the invasion that his first mission helped make possible. Earthrealm survives. He could have treated Sarina like another target and kept moving. He chose otherwise. For a few minutes, Mythologies almost gives us a redemption story. Bihan causes a disaster, sees the consequence, enters hell alive and fixes it. Quan Chi then tells him something deeply specific. An ordinary human cannot walk into the Netherrealm and survive as Bihan has. His soul is already stained by evil. At first, that sounds like Quan Chi trying to recruit him. Then Bihan returns to Earthrealm and asks Raiden about it. Raiden confirms the warning. Raiden saw the darkness. This is probably the most important Bihan scene in the franchise, and it happens at the end of the awkward spin-off people like to skip. Bihan asks whether his soul is really corrupted. Raiden explains that only an evil soul can survive in the Netherrealm as Bihan did. He has spent years taking lives for the Lin Kuei, and those choices have left a mark. Bihan immediately reaches for the explanation he has always lived with. He was following orders. Raiden does not let him hide there. The responsibility is still his. Then, he gives Bihan something Quan Chi never offers him, a way out. Bihan can change, he can alter his destiny. Nobody else can do it for him. And for once, Bihan looks genuinely shaken. That reaction is worth sitting with. He has just spared Sarina and saved Earthrealm. He has also been told that his accumulated killings have already made the Netherrealm feel like home. Both things are true at once. Raiden sees the damage, and he still believes the man standing in front of him can choose differently. Bihan returns to the Lin Kuei. The Grandmaster promptly gives him another assignment. Enter Shang Tsung's tournament and assassinate its host. Bihan accepts. There is no long period of reflection, no break from the clan, and no attempt to find Sarina. He puts the mask back on and goes to the island. Maybe he planned to retire afterward, as the first game's ending suggests. Maybe Raiden's warning had started working on him. The main timeline never lets us see enough to know. Bihan walks into the tournament with a damaged soul and one clear opportunity to change it. Scorpion is waiting there too. Quan Chi has made sure of that. Scorpion made the choice. The 2011 reboot makes Bihan's death painfully avoidable. Raiden knows Scorpion wants revenge. He asks him to spare Sub-Zero, offering to petition the Elder Gods for the return of the Shirai Ryu. Scorpion agrees. During the tournament, he defeats Bihan and takes him into the Netherrealm, where nobody else can interrupt them. Bihan is still arrogant. He mocks Hanzo. He accepts responsibility for killing him. When Scorpion accuses him of slaughtering the Shirai Ryu, though, Bihan denies it. He is telling the truth. Quan Chi arrives before Scorpion can process that denial. He fills the room with images of the massacre. Hanzo's clan cut down, his wife and child murdered, Bihan shown as the killer. Scorpion watches the family he lost die in front of him again. The vision is false. The rage it produces is real. Scorpion abandons his agreement with Raiden and burns Bihan alive. When he returns to the tournament, he is carrying Sub-Zero's skull and spine. Even Scorpion seems disturbed by what he has done. Quan Chi just watches the plan close around both of them. One brother is dead. The other will spend years chasing the killer. Scorpion has thrown away the possible return of his clan, and Quan Chi now has Bi-Han exactly where he wanted him from the moment he arranged that first mission. Scorpion causes the death. The next stage happens off-screen, somewhere between the burned skull in his hand and a figure with no visible skin, no ice, and no interest in the life Bi-Han left behind. That missing stage is where Noob Saibot is made. Quan Chi removed compassion. Bi-Han's soul descends into the Netherrealm, and Quan Chi resurrects him as a wraith. The series never gives us a clean ritual scene with every step explained. We have the result and several pieces of game text describing it. Mortal Kombat 11 says, Quan Chi resurrected Sub-Zero, granted him power over darkness, and kept him as a slave. Deception gives the colder description. Bi-Han's tainted soul descends into the Netherrealm free from compassion. That phrase does a lot of work. Quan Chi gives the Wraith a new body, shadow powers, and the ability to fight beside a black duplicate of himself. He strips away the part of Bi-Han that could spare Serena, listen to Raiden, or feel anything for Kuai Liang. We cannot measure exactly how much personality Quan Chi rewrites, because the games never provide that answer. They repeatedly connect the transformation to slavery, corruption, and lost compassion. And Noob behaves like somebody who remembers his life while feeling none of its attachments. He serves the Brotherhood of Shadow. In different parts of the original history, he works under Shao Kahn, Shinnok, and Quan Chi, slipping between masters while pursuing his own position. In the reboot, he recognizes Cyber Sub-Zero as Kuai Liang immediately. He knows who he was. He simply treats that former identity with disgust. This separates him from an empty corpse. Bi-Han's memories survive, his pride survives, his hunger for status survives. The capacity that once made him spare Serena appears to be gone. Quan Chi clearly creates the classic Wraith form. He also enslaves it. The harder evidence comes later, when the slave begins making plans that Quan Chi never asked for. First, though, Kuai Liang has to discover what became of the brother whose name he has been carrying. His brother took the name. Kuai Liang enters Mortal Kombat 2 as Sub-Zero because Bi-Han is dead. That name becomes his tribute, his investigation, and eventually his whole identity. He follows Scorpion, learns the truth about the tournament, and spends the following games becoming almost everything Bi-Han failed to become. Kuai leaves the Lin Kuei when they choose automation over free will. He fights his former clan. He rebuilds it. Later timelines even allow him to make peace with Scorpion. Then, he finds Bi-Han. Deception's Noob Smoke ending gives us the most direct version of the reunion. Noob is surprised by how powerful his younger brother has become. The narration says that if he were still human and still Lin Kuei, he probably would have felt some pride. He feels none. Noob orders Smoke to help kill Kuai Liang, planning to make it his first act as ruler of the Netherrealm. Smoke, another former Lin Kuei warrior, has already been repaired and reprogrammed into Noob's first servant. The ending sits outside the main Deception story, so every detail should not be treated like a recorded event. Its identity reveal becomes foundational, and its description of Bi-Han is unusually clear. The games want us to understand that the brother is still in there as memory, with the emotional connection cut away. The reboot stages a harsher meeting. Kuai Liang has already been converted into Cyber Sub-Zero against his will. He confronts Noob during Shao Kahn's invasion, and Bi-Han dismisses his old name. He talks about having been perfected. Kuai sees a brother. Noob sees an obsolete life. Their fight ends beside Quan Chi's Soul Nado, a towering vortex built from stolen souls. For one moment, it looks like the thing that remade Bi-Han may also erase him. The Soul Nado failed. Noob is guarding the Soul Nado when Cyber Sub-Zero reaches him. Kuai defeats his brother, but Noob recovers and attacks again. Nightwolf intervenes, and during the struggle, Noob is knocked into the vortex. The Soul Nado collapses. Then Noob disappears for the entirety of Mortal Kombat X. For years, fans had a very reasonable question. How does a Wraith survive being dragged into a tornado made from the same souls Quan Chi is harvesting? Mortal Kombat 11 answers by bringing him back and offering absolutely no useful explanation. He survived, somehow. The mechanism remains unknown, and any claim that the Soul Nado purified him, strengthened him, or sent him somewhere specific is fan theory. What comes back is still Noob Saibot. Quan Chi is dead by this point, killed by Scorpion in Mortal Kombat X. MK11's biography describes Noob as finally free, able to reclaim the honor stolen from him. That sounds like the perfect opening for some trace of Bi-Han to return. Instead, he joins Kronika. He fights alongside the same dark powers again, speaks openly about serving death, and continues to reject Kuai Liang. Falling through thousands of souls has changed nothing we can clearly see. And now, the easiest explanation has been removed. Quan Chi is gone, the leash is broken. Noob can choose a purpose for himself. Noob chose his own master. Look at what Noob does whenever a master disappears. In Deception, he announces that Shao Kahn, Quan Chi, and Shinnok are gone and calls himself free at last. His first goal is Ascension. His first major discovery is Smoke, inactive in the lower levels of Shao Kahn's abandoned fortress. Noob repairs him. Then, he reprograms him. Smoke knows Bihan. He served the Lin Kuei beside Kuai Liang and was forced into a cybernetic body by the clan. Noob finds that victim of stolen free will and immediately steals it again, reshaping him into the template for a planned army of cyber demons loyal only to Noob Saibot. It is such a specific choice. Nobody orders him to do it. Quan Chi receives no benefit. Noob has finally escaped every master he names, and freedom makes him want servants of his own. His other endings keep circling the same ambition. He wants the Nether Realm. He wants power that places him above the sorcerers and emperors he once obeyed. MK9's arcade ending presents one possible outcome. The story mode does not follow it. There, he breaks Quan Chi's control and uses Havoc's help to weaken the Nether Realm before taking it. Even the guy who will create the second Noob Saibot appears years early as an ally in the first Noob's attempt to seize power. Mortal Kombat lore does that sometimes. MK11 offers him freedom again. He still chooses Kronika because her victory gives his darkness a universe to occupy. His tower ending pushes the ambition all the way to a reality drowned in shadow. Again, it is an ending, not the main story. It is also completely consistent with the plans he makes when the main story leaves him alone. So the old timelines give us a difficult picture. Bihan was altered, enslaved, and stripped of compassion. After the control weakens, Noob repeatedly chooses domination. There is still a problem with using that as the final answer. Every one of those choices comes after Quan Chi has rebuilt his soul. Liu Kang eventually creates a timeline where that never happens. Liu Kang removed death. In the new era, Bihan is alive. He remains Sub-Zero and becomes Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei. Kuai Liang becomes Scorpion. Thomas is Smoke. Hanzo Hasashi is nowhere near Bihan during the first tournament, and Quan Chi never pulls his corpse into the Nether Realm. This is the cleanest test Mortal Kombat has ever given us. Liu Kang has built the Lin Kuei into Earthrealm's protectors. Bihan inherits the clan from his father and commands the loyalty of two brothers who genuinely look up to him. He has status, power, and a purpose that protects people. He wants more. Bihan believes the Lin Kuei have wasted generations serving Earthrealm from the shadows. He wants the clan to lead it. When Shang Tsung offers the possibility of that power, Bihan turns against Liu Kang and sides with him. Then Kuai learns how their father died. Bihan did not strike the killing blow. He watched his father die when he could have saved him because the old Grandmaster would never permit the future Bihan wanted. He hid that truth from his brothers, took control of the clan, and expected them to follow. Kuai refuses. The family splits, and the new era creates a new version of the oldest Mortal Kombat rivalry. Sub-Zero against Scorpion, except they are brothers now. Kuai and Thomas leave. They found the Shirai Ryu as a clan prepared to resist Bihan's Lin Kuei. All of this happens while Bihan is alive, mentally himself, and untouched by Quan Chi's resurrection magic. His childhood and circumstances have changed. His central choices remain familiar: loyalty to the Lin Kuei above the people it serves, contempt for restraint, and a willingness to sacrifice family for control. Then Chaos Reigns begins with Bihan attacking Kuai Liang's wedding to Harumi. The fight is interrupted by forces from another timeline. Titan Havoc invades, captures Gures, and takes Bihan with him. The new era has prevented the original murder. A different god now gets hold of Bihan's soul, and somehow the shadow returns. Havoc perfected Bihan. Titan Havoc does not resurrect Bihan in the old Quan Chi sense. Officially, he steals Bihan's soul and uses it to create the perfect henchman. When Kuai Liang, Cyrax, and Sector reach Havoc's citadel, the man they came to rescue is already gone from view. Noob Saibot is waiting for them. The ice has disappeared again. Bihan's body is blackened and altered. His voice is twisted, and a chaos-powered shadow fights beside him. Havoc has forced the same identity into existence through different magic, in a timeline where Scorpion never killed Bihan. At first, this noob serves Havoc completely. He attacks the rescue party and helps defend the citadel. Once he is taken back to Liu Kang's timeline, Liu Kang cannot remove the physical corruption, although he does clear Havoc's control enough for Bihan to think and act for himself. Bihan immediately turns his new powers against Havoc. That could look like the old self returning. Then, after Havoc is defeated, Bihan tries to kill him, despite Liu Kang warning that Havoc's death could destroy the billions of lives bound to his merged timeline. Garrus has to freeze Bihan in time to stop the fight. Liu Kang confines him in the Temple of the Elements and promises to search for a cure. Notice the location, by the way. The first Bi-Han passed through that temple while stealing Shinnok's amulet. The latest one ends up imprisoned there, while Liu Kang tries to recover whatever is left of Sub-Zero. The story expansion leaves the question slightly open. Bi-Han's mind has been freed from Havoc, yet his judgment may still be affected by the corruption. Liu Kang still believes treatment is possible. Sector still believes her Grandmaster can be restored. Then, Noob Saibot's character ending gives Bi-Han the final choice. Character endings can sit in a fuzzy place until later games confirm them, so this shows the direction of his personal story. A future game could still override the event itself. Sector wants to purge Havoc's corruption from his soul. Bi-Han tells her to stop. He says the chaos enriched him. It made his fighting less predictable, more powerful, and more lethal. He plans to use those gifts for the Lin Kuei and force Liu Kang, the Shaolin, and his own brother to submit. Havoc has lost control of his creation. Bi-Han has been offered purification, and he refuses it. Now we can finally answer the question. Who created Noob Saibot? Quan Chi created the first Noob Saibot. He arranged the feud that killed Bi-Han, claimed the soul that fell into the Netherrealm, and rebuilt it as a wraith without compassion. The black body, the shadow powers, and the enslavement belonged to Quan Chi's interference. Scorpion delivered the death Quan Chi needed, and he did it while believing a lie. Titan Havoc created the second Noob Saibot. He captured a living Bi-Han, stole his soul, and corrupted it with chaos. This version never dies at Scorpion's hand and never receives Quan Chi's resurrection. Havoc still produces the same shadow identity through an entirely different process. So, outside power creates Noob Saibot's body. It removes or buries parts of Bi-Han that might have resisted. That makes Bi-Han a victim in both origins, and it matters. Living Bi-Han spared Serena. He saved Earthrealm. Raiden saw a damaged man who could still change his destiny. Bi-Han keeps receiving that opening. The first Wraith becomes free and enslaves Smoke. He rejects Kuai Liang, pursues control of the Netherrealm, and keeps finding stronger masters until he can replace them. The new era removes his original death, and living Bi-Han still lets his father die, betrays Liu Kang, and divides his family for power. Havoc then forces the second transformation. Liu Kang breaks Havoc's mental control. Sector offers to purge the corruption. At that point, Bi-Han finally gets the clearest choice any version of him has ever had. He keeps it. That is where Bi-Han ends, and Noob Saibot begins. Quan Chi made the first one. Havoc made the second. Bi-Han is the reason both creations survived their creator. Raiden warned him years earlier that only he could change his destiny. In the new era, with his mind returned and a cure still possible, Bi-Han gives his answer. He calls himself perfected. If you enjoyed this video and want to see what Mortal Kombat's story is actually about, click the video on screen now.